Good morning, everybody. What'd you say?
I said we're in the broadcast. It says it.
Okay, good. Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, February 4th, 2025. Holy cow, January just flew by.
Yeah, there's only 28 days in February, so we only got 24 days to go. Boom.
Oh, yeah. The next thing you know, summer and then school starting. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden. You're watching The Big Show, Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And
Perfect.
Dirk.
Well, look at that. It's all new.
I've been changing, and next week we'll have a different logo thing at the bottom. So, yeah, I'm making a few updates.
Dirk had a big day yesterday. He went up to Duluth and did a bunch of fancy stuff with some cops.
He sent me a photo. So we have our weather report that he sends me in the mornings, right? And we'll post that at the end of the show, the weather forecast. But he also sent me another photo, and I didn't understand what it was, so it sounds like you might. And so I had that ready.
Yeah.
So that was his ride yesterday, and I don't even know what this is about. But first of all, what the frick is that?
That is, I can't remember what they call them now. I had it, and then I lost it. But it floats. If it breaks through the ice, it floats.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of a cool machine. So it was awesome. So
yeah,
I can't remember what they call them. Somebody will know online what they're called. So,
well, hopefully Dirk knows. I mean, if he was in it. And why don't you guys have one of those?
Yeah, I don't like having people having better stuff than me. So now I got to get one of those. Actually, we know a guy that has one in town, and he lets us use it. There's a guy that has something similar. And he has it. And if we need it for a rescue, he'd let us use it. So we have one technically.
Somebody owns one? That's crazy. That thing is, I got to see that again. I got to look at that thing.
That is cool.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
so we should get that in a helicopter in the next budget.
Ooh. Yeah.
Probably not going to happen.
Probably not going to happen. So we were off last week. I had a committee meeting at 9 a.m, and you were off. Why were you off last week?
It's a good question. Why was I off last week?
Question.
Oh, I had to. I had to go to a donor appreciation at a school, and so I went and had breakfast with some kids at a school. So
you went and did what?
Had breakfast at a school. We give some money away, not me personally, but a group I'm attached with through the sheriff's department gave some money to St. Joe's School, a nonprofit. And they had a donor appreciation, so we went to the school, learned about it at St. Joe's, and some kids gave a presentation on what they did with the money, what they do with grant money that gives to them and things. And so part of the Celebrity Golf, and Celebrity Golf gives money to St. Joe's, and they told us about what they do with their money and thank their donors. It was Catholic School Appreciation Week last week, so we learned a little bit about Catholic school and that. So it was really a cool event. So I'm glad I
if you're watching,
there's good in the world. Put it that way. There's good in the world.
There is good in the world. I know.
There is good in the world.
Yeah. Don't let your Facebook feed fool you.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know what's going on, by the way, with Facebook feeds. It used to be. It's supposed to be about you see more of family and friends stuff. Something changed a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago. I don't see any of that stuff anymore. It's like one of every 10, and it's. Like, what happened to my newsfeed algorithm on Facebook? It's so bizarre. But there's a lot of
politics, I think. That's our problem.
Yeah, right. Sports, big trades in the NBA. Luka, what? What
do you think of that?
That it tells me that Dallas knows something that the rest of us don't know. Because that was a lopsided trade.
Okay. I was doing two things at once.
Sorry. No, that's fine.
There's
something going on, right? I mean,
it was lopsided. Why do you think it was lopsided? Luka's way better than AD? Or AD's
way
better than
he's 25 years old and one of the best players in the All-NBA. He doesn't play any defense, and he whines all NBA players do now. But just shut up with the whining about how come you didn't call the foul ref.
Which team is better with the trade?
Right now, Dallas.
Dallas is better, you think, huh?
I think, yeah. I mean,
Huh.
Lakers don't even have a center anymore. No, right now, I would say Dallas is probably the second best team in the West, only behind the Thunder. But long term, and not like long term 5 years, but by next year, I think the Lakers will do well. I mean, they both ended up kind of doing well out of it, but I don't know. That was just so bizarre. I mean, that was like one of the biggest trades in NBA's history. I
Out of
mean,
the blue.
I know, and nobody even knew about it.
There's been a lot of TikToks on making fun of it and like, hey, guess who I got? We got AD. I'm like, wow, who did we have to give up? Luka. What do you mean you gave up Luka?
Right. Wait a minute. You're on TikTok?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What? That
I
surprises
don't
me.
do any TikTok, but it's a good way to keep up on things going on. If you travel
Is it
and you
though?
want to go to places, there's live feeds of guys walking around New York and Las Vegas, and I enjoy that. So,
Okay. I never would have guessed that you were on TikTok.
oh yeah,
Ever.
China just got nothing on me.
China's got no. Yeah, go ahead. Steal anything you want. I don't care.
Still on my
Super Bowl predictions. I mean, first of all, do we really even care about this? I mean, it's a Super Bowl, so of course we do. But,
right.
Chiefs and Eagles, didn't they just play a couple of years ago? I mean, people are tired of the Chiefs and the Eagles. Nobody cares about them unless you're in Philadelphia.
But isn't it cool to win 3 in a row? I don't know. Isn't that
I think it
part
would
of
be.
sports dynasties? Don't we like that?
We do. We do. I mean, apparently America doesn't. Because, like, everyone's rooting against them because how dare you be successful for that long? I don't know. And Patrick Mahomes, everybody used to love him, and now everyone hates him because he's good?
He's good.
I don't understand that.
I know how they feel. No.
Who do you think is going to win that game?
I assume Kansas City. I kind of cheer for. Obviously, we always cheer for the underdog. I'm hoping Philadelphia wins.
I think Saquon Barkley, man, that dude is just killing it
Yeah.
right now. I think they have a very good chance in winning. I think if they
hope
can
it's
get
a
the
good
lead,
game.
they win.
I hope it's a good game and the commercials are good. That's all I got. But
Let's face it, that's
$8 million for 30 seconds. That said, they did a 30-second commercial on Positive Tuesday. We could sell it to them for like $1 million.
What a deal!
Yeah,
$8 million. Well, maybe we'll start a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And so we can do a Positive Tuesday show commercial next year's Super Bowl. We just got to raise $8 million.
Yeah. Come watch us, Positive Tuesday.
In rural Northwest Wisconsin. I mean, we can try it.
Yeah,
So,
we can sure try it.
yeah, it'll be a good game. But honestly, I'm very much looking for it. When is it? Is it Sunday night?
At probably 8:00 at night. Because
I hate that.
It's not. I think it starts at 5:30, but it'll never start till 6:15.
And who's the halftime show this year? I've not been keeping up on that.
Oh man, now I got to look that up. I'll look it up.
They've been terrible lately.
Halftime, Kendrick Lamar headlines Super Bowl.
That's weird.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, there's a few good songs that he's had, but
How to watch the Super Bowl halftime show.
and it's going to be aired on like Tubi, which is like a free streaming service for free. Yeah, it's really weird where it's being streamed right now. But Kendrick Lamar, I don't know, he's okay, but kind of feel like we could do better. I don't know who that would be. Who's your favorite? Who would you want to see?
Well, why wouldn't we have what's her name do it?
I don't know.
Taylor Swift. Why wouldn't Taylor Swift do the halftime show?
Oh my goodness, that'd be like the highest rated show because apparently she's got a lot of followers. I don't know one of her songs. I mean, I'm sure if I heard it.
She has this Eras tour. Why doesn't she do the halftime show? I mean, I understand why she's not. I mean, you want to enjoy the game, and you couldn't if you were doing it. But next year, if the Chiefs aren't in it, she should be doing the halftime show. I mean, why? Let's let the NFL do it. If they're going to do it, let's do it right. It's the biggest show.
Yeah, it really is. It's super weird. I'm sorry, I just saw that comment, so I'm not sure what that was referring to. What was that about?
I don't know. Probably us.
It's super weird. It means you're super weird. All right. We got stuff to get to. We'll get to all that in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
Yeah, see, and Shasta put in Kendrick Lamar. Hold on, I got my laptop here. I've always wanted to test this to see how long of a delay is it between when somebody comments. I want to put in a comment. Test. I want to see how soon that shows up. 1, 3, how many seconds before? Oh, there it is right there. So, only like 3 seconds.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I thought it was like 10 or 15 seconds. So that's better
good. Obviously, we can tell people we don't have a lot to talk about because we're just testing stuff as we do it today.
Yeah, right.
So what do you guys want to know about?
Exactly. See, we could actually start playing with these. I mean, we can start editing. Like, how do we want all of our comments to show up? And that'd be a whole show right there. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Thank you, Tiffany. Now that makes sense because it just doesn't seem to really fit.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl. Remember that dumpster fire halftime show not long ago? Wasn't it like 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg and all these old rappers? And it was such a weird halftime show. And
it doesn't have to be. Everybody just wants to hear somebody's. It doesn't need to be this production. Let's let Taylor Swift sing songs. I mean, or whoever. I don't care.
Bruce Springsteen was great.
Great.
Like, that was great.
It doesn't have to be this all jump from the ceiling and have stuff drop from the sky and light fires. And let's just have people sing, and let's not have it be a 60-minute halftime. And the commercial should be cheaper. But
no kidding.
Anyway.
Cheapers.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to make an announcement here on this Friday. So the DPI state superintendent race. So there's 3 people in that, and that's in a couple of weeks to narrow that down to 2. But one of them is a Brittany Kinzer. She'll be on our show on Friday. So they reached out, and as you know, we never ask any candidates to ever come on for a show. They have to ask us. But she'll be coming on. Don't know really anything about her. Really haven't been following that race. I know our current state superintendent isn't very popular, Jill Underly. So I don't know. That'll be interesting. Brittany.
Yeah, I've been just reading about her myself. 2 other candidates, Jeff Wright and Brittany, are running against
Jill Underly. Yeah, and it's interesting because Governor Evers. So Jill's currently the DPI state superintendent. Right. He emphatically has not endorsed her. And I think the Democrat Party is endorsing, if I remember this right, the Democratic Party is endorsing Jill, but the teachers union is endorsing, I think, that Wright guy. So that doesn't seem to be, I don't know, it's really interesting. And I have no idea. Obviously, Brittany, I don't know if she's, obviously it's a nonpartisan race, but I don't know if she's liberal, conservative, Democrat. Right. So I have no idea. So I'll find out on Friday.
So one is Jeff Wright's a superintendent of Sauk Prairie. What is Brittany is the
Sauk Prairie.
Sauk Prairie. Bachelor's degree from Eastern Illinois. It doesn't say what she is currently.
Yeah, I haven't even researched her. I will half an hour before the show on Friday.
Half hour? I just did. So.
Well, perfect.
Well, good. I think that's cool that people come in, especially in the North, and come on the show and at least tell us who they are. I think it's an important way for people to reach out. But none of these races are nonpartisan. It's silly. The state Supreme Court race is silly. I like Brad. I'm not happy about a couple of things Brad did.
Yep.
But that's just how it is. But they're very political, and it's way too political.
Right. I mean, we've talked about that before about, like, look at our local level. I mean, you're the sheriff. Be a sheriff. Just do your job. Our circuit court judges, I think for the most part they are consistent and they do their jobs. Like, they're not advocates and they're not politicians. Like, if you want to be an advocate, be an advocate. You want to be a politician, be a politician. But the Supreme Court race, this is just getting ridiculous. I mean, the fact that they're being advocates and they're being political. Well, just do your job.
Well, and you shouldn't. And I think you exactly hit it on the head. I said it to Holly the other day. The only position that's non-political is our circuit court judges. I think they don't go out and say, you know what, I think I'm against meth. And anybody that comes in front of me for meth is going down. They don't say that because you have to look at the facts. Our Supreme Court race should be looking at facts. They shouldn't be giving me their opinion on abortion, gun rights, whatever it is, because maybe the facts of a case go this way. Maybe the facts sent you this way. You should always look at the facts, and it's way too political. I'm very disappointed in it. I should have known better, but you just hope. I think there's hope, and I never give up hope. And I think maybe this one will change. Maybe it'll be right. But I'm pretty disappointed in people agreeing or disagreeing with Trump or the governor or whoever. It's just way too political, and people are going to get frustrated by it, and they're not going to go vote, and then people aren't going to make a decision, and then people should go vote. That's the only way you can make a difference.
Yeah, and you and I think both probably felt the same way when Brad Schimmel actually, and we both like him a lot. And you're never going to like everything about everybody, I suppose.
Correct.
But with that blanket 1,500 pardons that Trump had done for the January 6th, you and I were not a fan of that at all. And then Brad Schimmel got the question, and at first he was kind of in support of it. He kind of walked that back the next day. But honestly, in my head, I'm thinking, dude, why are you even answering that question?
Right.
Seriously, why are you even? Don't touch that. There's no win for you because you don't want to alienate Trump. But And then he said, "Well, I do think the criminals should be prosecuted," which I do believe him in that. But honestly, he should just never even answer that question. Listen, that's a federal issue. I'm focused on Wisconsin. Done. Just why even answer that question? Don't understand that.
Sheriffs get very political, and I try not to be. I know I am at times. But you try to look at it, we're like, I'm not going to enforce, if anybody comes in front of me with a seatbelt violation, I'm not going to give them a ticket, or I'm going to give it. I can't pick that. It's not what we're going to have a stance on, not arresting people or arresting people. So,
there is one though in our local area, and I'm not saying this is good or bad. It's just, I do believe this to be true. We just got finished saying that, our judges, circuit court judges, I think do a pretty good job in that, and our sheriffs, I think, at the same thing, right? Just do your job, stay in your lane, as it were. I heard some smart person say that one time. Don't try to save the Dolphins. But honestly, district attorneys, that's a little different animal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do see advocacy there, and I honestly, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I'm not saying that what they're advocating for I don't agree with, because some of it I do agree with, but I don't just agree with the whole principle of it. Like, well, let's not be hard on people for this or this, because I don't think that, our favorite topic ever, marijuana. I don't think marijuana should really actually be a thing, so we're not going to come hard on diversion programs, this and that. Yeah, but that's not, what? No, that's not your job. And by the way, Dan, we're going to actually talk about that coming up here, because I talked to Fitzy last week, so I think that's going to be a great conversation. Hey, before we even get into that more, we have a question from Brian. Fitzy, what are your thoughts on putting tariffs on Canada, citing fentanyl trafficking as an issue when stats show only 1% of the drug is attributed to the northern border?
Right.
Wow.
I think, I don't know if that's inaccurate. I'm trusting Brian that he did some research on that. I don't think it comes from our northern border at all. I think all of our drugs, I've said that for years on this show. For years, I've said it, no matter who the president is or who the governor is. I've said it. No one's controlled the border. I don't like this ramrod type of way of doing it, but that's what he chose. He's the president. I don't like it, but hopefully it makes a difference. We actually met here. I think the price of meth is going to go up, which is good and bad. I think there's some ramifications to that we're going to see, that we're paying attention to. And again, I think we're trying to be forward thinkers here at the Sheriff's Department. That's why I come on this show. I think if the price of meth goes up, I think bad guys are going to steal more of our stuff. I think we'll have more burglaries and more thefts if the price of meth goes up, because they're going to need more money to do this. So we're paying attention to that. We're trying to monitor that. We're monitoring the price of meth right now, because if it goes up, we fully expect to see more thefts and burglaries in our area.
I didn't think about that.
So while I think it's good, there's always things that people don't think about at a national level when you just implement, something like this. No, I'm glad we're securing the borders. I've said that for years. Let's not pay attention to the people. Let's only pay attention to the drugs, and we'll win this war. So we'll see if that works. I don't think any of it comes from. Well, obviously he said 1% of it comes, and
I don't think that's.
Fentanyl is good, but I think we need to look at it because they're going to try to find if we secure one border and we don't have the other door closed, I'm just going to run around the house to the back door. So
Sure.
I think there's probably a better thought process to this, bigger than I'm thinking of. So you've got to look at, because if the front door is locked, where do you go? You run around to the back door. So if this border is closed, all I got to do is take a ship and run it around and come through Canada. And if it's not secure, I can do it that way. So, and that's harder for Wisconsin because it's closer. So,
Oh, I'm not pale now. Come on. I'm not sure that was I think that was from our last conversation. So we had Romaine Quinn on the show. He comes on once a month, but the last couple months we haven't had him on because of the holidays. It always ended up at that same spot where it was Thanksgiving and then Christmas, so he wasn't on. Boy, he was on last week, and he was great. And I think part of it's just because he's getting older, and maybe it's because he's in the Senate now, but he did that was probably one of my favorite shows that he's ever been on. There was a lot of questions, a lot of engagement on the show, and kind of like you can answer anything, talk about anything, was open to anything. It was a really good show. But in speaking of Dan Erickson, who put in that comment, I'd asked him about was he fielding any calls from that federal grant freeze thing that just kind of all of a sudden happened, right? It was just one day all the grants are fine, and the next day, cut it, turn the faucet off, as it were. And we didn't do a show last week, you and I, but I had called you and asked, I'm getting a whole bunch of calls actually saying that they're really concerned. And some of them were just because I was a media outlet, some of them just because I was Ben, and other ones were because I'm a Washburn County Board supervisor. Have you guys thought about that? Did you field a lot of calls about that?
I fielded some calls on that, more on ice, and we'll get to that next.
Oh.
And so, yes, I don't see, and again, there'd be a couple grants that would be frozen, our meth grant. A lot of it comes through the states. Our federal funding comes through the states, and then it stops, and then the states disseminate it. So not thinking that was a federal grant, I thought it won't affect us a lot. But if the state doesn't get their money, they're not going to give us. If the state doesn't get their money from the feds and it's a state grant. So there is some backlash that I didn't think about that. So our meth grant that comes from the state, that I believe they get some of their funding, and I don't know exactly where they get all their funding. I didn't follow the trail backwards, but our drug court would be one of the main things that is completely funded by that. I met with our DHS director. DHS has a bigger effect on counties.
DHS, HHS, that's going to be huge.
Right.
ADRC.
ADRC, all of that has some way major effects on it, that sheriff's departments that I didn't say from a county standpoint, no, it wouldn't affect some of us. So very, very few grants from a law enforcement standpoint come from the federal level. Cops grants do. Again, they get funneled sometimes through the state, through the feds, and some are strictly from the feds. So some cop grants that could affect some law enforcement agencies. I don't have any cop grants at this time, but I've had cops grants in the past. That could happen. So you could look at some school resource officers. A lot of school resource officers across the state are funded through cops grants. I don't know where that effect would come into play. So, yeah, there's some things that you just can't blanket stuff. And, again, this just, writing on a piece of paper and making things happen, I don't think it's the right way to do it, because we have elected officials that are supposed to help us along the way. So I'm not a big fan of this. And everybody had a problem when Evers did this with the emergency order, and now Trump's doing it. And
hold on a second. So just to be clear, I don't think either of us are 100% against the idea.
Correct.
But it's how it was implemented, which was just, again, just done.
Exactly.
It's okay, slow down. It's going to take baby steps here. Let's get everyone ready. Let's announce stuff. Just doing that. Now, thankfully, it was kind of rescinded after that. But, this is coming again, and I just feel like we need a better plan. So we're not saying it was a good or a bad idea. That's not even what we're talking about. It was just how it was done.
Or let's start with one at a time. We're going to what's the effect? I mean, I understand it takes time, but if you're going to do this and you have the team in place to do it, that's great. Do it. If I'm wasting money on whatever, let's just say cops grants. It's not a waste, but let's just use it because it affects law enforcement. If we're wasting that money, then let's take it away. I'm fine with that misuse of money. I think that's important. I think we need to account for every dollar where it goes and what it's used for. I'm 100% okay with that. And if we're not using it right, take it away. It's 100%. But let's not just say, hey, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, all federal grants are going away. We're like, whoa, wait a second. Again, I don't think it would have hurt my operations to a degree that we would have noticed it, but DHS was scrambling and human services was scrambling.
Yeah, and it has more of an impact on, again, locally. The more you start peeling those layers back. I had a mental health professional in our area reach out to me. So what they do, they have a grant that allows them to go into a Northwest Wisconsin school to provide counseling for kids that need it, right?
Right.
So instead of the school having to spend money on an in-house counselor, then they get a federal grant and then they go in. And when that happened, it was everything just got turned off. So now what? They can't go in and talk to these kids because there's no money for that anymore. So 2 years of working with these kids and nope, sorry, you're on your own. Like it has like real life applications here. Because it isn't just the money that is being misspent, and if there is, that's fine. I mean, get rid of it. But holy cow!
Right.
I mean, think about that. Just local level. Some of these kids who aren't able to get mental health because it just got turned off. And I'd asked that mental health professional. I said, so in the event that this is ongoing, this is before it was rescinded. What's the plan? He's like, well, we're going to look at it week by week, and I could probably do it for a while, but at some point. We can't afford to do that if we don't have that federal grant, so we're just not going to be able to. Maybe we can get through the end of the school year, but that's about it. Probably not going to be able to do that starting next year. So these are like impacting our kids even.
Right. And I don't want to there's a lot of good work happening, and there's waste. I understand there's waste, and let's weed through it. And I wasn't saying, and Pamela put, we have to take our country back and it's going to hurt. I agree. I'm 100% okay with securing our borders. I wasn't saying, let's not do it because, I agree 100%. Let's lock down the borders. I'm okay with how we did it and these tariffs to get people to react. And then he withdrew it, said, I'm going to do this unless you do this. We have to secure our borders. And he's got both people working on securing the borders. I'm okay. I agree. There's some pain. I'm 100% for securing the borders. So I wasn't saying, let's be careful. Let's not, I've been saying we should secure the borders
for years on this show.
Years. So, and there's going to be some pain with this, and I understand that. I hope the pain doesn't affect the pocketbook of everyday Americans. I think it's going to, not the border, but other things that are going on. I think it's going to affect that. People are going to have to raise money. I think nonprofits, some nonprofits, I think the Benjamin House depends on some federal funding.
Oh, right.
No one wants to see that go away locally. No. Not that it would go away if we lost all of our federal funding, but that's a chunk of our operating. We don't operate these nonprofits, and any nonprofit in Northwest Wisconsin doesn't operate with hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, or you wouldn't give them money if they had all this money in the bank. So these nonprofits are running dollar to dollar to stretch your money as far as it goes, and they get some federal funding. And I know some people don't believe in it; they shouldn't get them. That's fine. That's 100% your belief in not doing this, but we need to be careful because it's going to knock some of these nonprofits away too. And that's from my other hat in the nonprofit world is we just have to be careful. If you just stop and it's all slowed down, it's all good. We're better for it. So
and a lot of these nonprofits, they run on a skeleton crew, right? They pinch every penny and stretch every dollar. Two metaphors in the same sentence. That's lazy writing. But they really do. I want to go back to this. Tiffany had a question here. Do you think people might try doing their own meth labs again? Because that was not a fun time either. Yeah, I remember that back when Dad was sheriff, and this is probably even 20 years ago. That was a big thing in our area, meth labs. But you've actually come on the show and you've said this in the past that we have zero meth labs anymore. Yeah. Like it's all coming from the southern border. We have none of that stuff around here. So that's a great question, Tiffany. So do you think that could be a possibility?
100%. I mean, we have our ear to the ground right now. We've talked about that. If the price of meth goes up, people are going to if I can try to save money, doing X, Y, or Z, planting my own garden instead of buying food at the grocery store, I'm going to do that. But so I think there's good that comes out of some of this stuff. Like I can plant my own garden, but I also think, yes, Tiffany's right. I think we will have people say, I'm going to try to grow meth or make meth. You don't grow it, but try to make meth and to try to do it cheaper. And that's dangerous. And so law enforcement has will have that come into play again, I think.
All right. And I'm just kind of going back through some of the previous ones. I'm sorry I missed some of these. Don't Stop the Meth from Coming In. It's going to increase. That's what you were talking about, Fitzy, and then crime go up.
And that's not what
County.
I was saying.
We'll
We're going to stop the meth, but it's going to increase the price. So I'm not saying don't stop it because it's increasing the price. I think increasing the price is a good thing. So because it will stop some of it, but it does lead to other dangers. People are going to run more. They're not going to just have their meth get thrown away because it costs them so much money. So there's effects to this, and that's all I was saying. I want the price of meth to go skyrocket. 100% agree, but it's going to come with some dangers to law enforcement, and that's what I'm thinking about. That's what you pay me to do sitting at this desk is to look at those dangers and what's going to happen if we do A, what's going to happen. So we do that all the time.
There's consequences and there's byproducts of everything. And some of that's good and some of it's bad, but it's you fix one problem and it creates two others. Or you fix two, but it creates one other. You have to kind of consider that stuff. Brian had a follow-up here. FY only 43 pounds of fentanyl were confiscated. Well, that's great, but that's interesting what you had said, Fitzy, and it kind of makes sense that if you do the southern border and then the northern border isn't, then guess what? Like, they're not morons. They're going to figure that out pretty quick.
So, I mean, I think it's the right plan. It just seems like it's just boom right now, and it's just because everything's boom. So I think the plan is there. My bigger question that I'll bring up here that a lot of people have talked about is ICE. ICE is not here. They are in Wisconsin. They're looking at criminals only. We're not doing random checks of schools or churches or businesses or Mexican restaurants or anything like that. There's been lots of tips I've got from other media sources that says ICE was here checking random IDs to people. Absolutely not true. Not true. ICE hasn't been in Barron County. ICE will alert me when they come to Barron County. There's a limited number of ICE agents. Our job is to protect those ICE agents while they do their job. They are federal laws. We will support our ICE agents, but we're not randomly checking people. We have about 1 to 2 ICE cases a year in Barron County. We have every year since I've taken over as sheriff. We usually get about 1 or 2 ICE. If you're here illegally, you get arrested, your prints go into a machine. It automatically goes to the FBI and ICE. That's how fingerprints work in America, whether you're a citizen or non-citizen. The prints go to the same place. They get checked. It gets flagged. ICE then determines if you are here illegally and if they want to hold on you. If they place a hold on you, they come and get you when your time is up here in Barron County for the crimes you committed in Barron County, and they will deport you. It happens maybe once or twice a year, but we're not randomly checking people. We're not doing that. So that's not our role. So,
in Barron County,
ICE hasn't been in Barron County.
In Barron County, what is the maybe you don't even know that. What is like the largest, I don't know, employer, I guess, of illegal immigrants or immigrants? I would assume like farms, maybe. I mean, it's Barron County, right? That's the only thing I can think of.
Farms too.
I don't even know if there is a lot of that. I really don't know.
I don't think we have a huge population here, but there is. No. I did talk to a sheriff by email that a lot of people. It created a lot of fear that they were going to randomly check farms and things like that. Well, they can't just randomly check places. You have to have a reason to go on property. They're still law enforcement officers. You can't just break into a house and do that. So Seneca has some.
I've heard of Seneca. What is that?
That's the bean plant in Cumberland. I believe they all have work visas. I don't know how a work visa works. I believe they're here legally because they all have work visas, but I don't know the answer to that. And if they are, they've been, we've had people arrested and not kept by ICE, so they must be legal. But every fingerprints run through a system. So every person is checked. ICE is holding people if they're illegal. The system we have works. I just don't think we have a lot here, but and maybe they just don't get arrested. So,
again, I don't know this world. I really don't. Yeah, I don't understand how this stuff works. I don't know if just because you're an immigrant, does that make you legal and illegal? Is it the illegal? What does that mean? Can an employer hire an illegal? Does the employer get in trouble? And what does that mean? I literally don't know. I don't know the details about that. I've never actually looked into it. Actually, that's perfect because that's Carol just brought it up. What I just said too, that our employers of illegals culpable, prosecutable for knowingly hiring. Like, I literally don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I don't either.
And what makes them illegal? And is it just actually illegal, or maybe not? Just because you're like, I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works.
I would guess that's more of an IRS thing, but I don't know. So, But yeah, so it's, and some of it is, and Steve made a point here. I see I'd rather pull the Band-Aid off and go through years than always talking about. He's got a point there. 100%. I do agree with this. Like I said, I think our borders are more secure today than they were 2 weeks ago. 100% agree with that. And we've shaken the tree and we said things are going to happen, and it might work out. I hope it does. I hope our borders are 100% secure so our drugs don't come here anymore. It's going to there's ramifications of that, but again, that's what you hire me to do. We'll handle the ramifications of it. We'll get the drugs out and then we'll worry about it. Yeah. But if you take all the federal funding away for drug treatment, we might be in some trouble.
Right. I don't understand Pamela censoring the messages so much. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. I don't think I censor messages. If I've missed, because there's a lot of comments today, and it's hard to listen and go through it all. But what do you mean so much for free speech? Free speech is just that's a whole other thing. Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah. I don't know.
If I've missed something, I apologize. Yeah. But I mean, there's some things that there aren't questions; they're just more comments. But if there's a question, please put it in, and we'll answer the question.
It's illegal to hire illegal immigrants. So it's illegal. Maybe it is.
Illegal. But then how can you actually hire them? Like, I don't understand.
Right. Unless they're doing it. Yeah.
You don't give them a W-2? Does it just cash? Like, I don't understand how that works.
Right. And then that's an IRS thing. And again, we work with this IRS agents. If there's an issue that we come up with, we forward that to them. What they do with it, they do with it. If we think it's a violation of the IRS, we work with all of our federal partners on anything. And they've always helped us in Barron County. We'll always help them in Barron County. Yeah. But it's their role. So
if they don't have a green card, there's another thing. I don't even know what a green card is. Yeah. I mean, I hear about it, but they can't hire them. Is there a sheriff in the house? Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know how you just got kind of finished saying, or at least what I inferred from some of the things that you were saying is that we don't really deal with that much.
Right. Is there a sheriff in the house? Yeah, I'm sitting right here.
Right. But I mean, how often do you deal with these things?
Well, and we do. We contact ICE. If we think someone's here illegally, we contact ICE. It happens through our fingerprint system. And so.
There you go.
If they get a W-2, then it's illegal. Then they're paying taxes and they're doing all the things that they should be, or supposedly should be. So we work with ICE. We're not harboring people. We don't not send it to ICE. We work with ICE. I don't want anybody to think we're not doing our job here in Barron County, because we do it well, and we do it completely, and we do it very, very out in the open. So I've done articles on this with the local newspapers, but there's been no ICE activity. If somebody's posing as ICE to try to create fear, you can get in trouble for that. So don't be doing that as a joke, or kids do it, as a joke, and young adults. And so, but yeah.
I didn't realize this was such you said you did some stories on this, or answered some questions from media. I didn't realize this was that big of a thing.
Yeah. There's been a lot of misinformation, I think, out there. Yeah. And so I've tried to clean it up to saying, we work with ICE, but ICE isn't here. ICE doesn't have to tell us they're in town. But again, there's very, very few ICE agents. So they need us to support them in a support role to make sure that they can do their job safely. And we don't want any cop to get hurt, and it won't happen in Barron County, and we will support our federal officers when they come here to do their job.
Well, I learned something new. Again, I did not know that there was that was a topic that you've been having to address, and clearly there's people a lot of people that are commenting and engaging in that conversation. So just didn't think that was I mean, I'm aware that it's a big thing nationally, but I just didn't really think it hit home here in Barron or Washburn County. Right. But apparently it does.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's where we know.
So what was the story? Where was that? I want to read that. What local media outlet?
The Chronotype called me, and the Barron News Shield called me yesterday. So I don't know what if they brought stories, but yeah, they had gotten a tip that there was some things. And again, both of these took place in the city of Rice Lake. I referred to them to Chief Rue, but ICE normally calls the sheriff's department because we are the housing facility. If somebody's here illegally, we house them. They have to go through their crime here in Wisconsin or Barron County first, and then they would say they got an OWI fourth offense. We either have to dismiss the charges and then they get deported, or we go through our charges, they sit their jail time, and then they get deported. So there's ways that the district attorney's office works with the federal agencies of ICE to do that. If it's a serious crime, normally they have to sit their time here before being deported. So,
Man, do you anticipate this being? Uh, do you anticipate this being a conversation that we're going to be having throughout the rest of this year if the administration continues where we're going with that, or is this I don't or not?
Do I think
Isolated incidents here or there, but this isn't going to be a big talk. Are we going to be talking about this every week?
Oh, I think I think for the next few weeks, I think we will. I don't think we'll talk about it all year because I think we're going to get a handle on it. I think the border is going to get secure, and I think we're going to get a handle on this. And then I think we'll go on to the next topic because I think somebody made a point here about it lowers the wages. Also, if we take the number of workers away, I don't know if there'll be enough workers to do the jobs. And so we have to, again, I think there's some ramifications. I don't think it will be ramifications in Barron County, but it might be at bigger farm counties in, down by Arcadia and things like that. That's where the sheriff I was talking and not talking with, but put a comment on the sheriff thing that's, said some of his workers aren't showing up because they're scared. That's great. Again, pull the Band-Aid off and do it. And if they're here legally, they shouldn't be. And that's the story. I think that's the point some of these people are trying to make. And that we don't do anything. I just can't. We call ICE. If we don't have contact with you, I just can't, on a tip, say if it's a possible drug house that you're living in, or if it's possible has these people here, we have to do an investigation. We just can't walk into the door and say, hey, we're here to search for drugs. We have to have a reason to go in the house. They have to have a probable cause to do all this stuff. And so when we have that probable cause, we act on that probable cause, and then we do something with that information, whether it's drugs, it's illegals, it's abuse, it's whatever, it's child porn. Again, we may have a tip that there's child porn going on here. We still have to build the case to get in the door. So I think there's all that. So,
okay.
And if you think there's enough workers, that's great. But I talk to businesses, and I don't know that there's enough workers, but maybe there is. Hopefully there is. So
yeah, and honestly, that's not even the point of the conversation. I mean, this is a conversation now. I think what's kind of getting into is about, is it good or is it bad? Is it virtuous? Should we have that's irrelevant for me anyway. Yeah. You show my comments because they make sense. Well, I'm trying to show some, Pamela.
Give us a minute. And there is probably some cash under the table, and that's why we involved the IRS. So I think you're saying,
what do you mean cash under the table?
You're talking about it. We don't have the numbers. We don't have the cases. We deal with ICE once or twice a year but we brought people to jail that are from a different area, and so. But yeah.
All right. Hey, finally a question. Brad asks Fitzy, do you believe that once the southern border is secure, illegals will use the backdoor Canada enter despite a law and order admin in Canada?
Do I think they'll try? Yeah, I think they do try. Somebody pointed out that 43 pounds of fentanyl came from Canada. I don't think any fentanyl should come over. I hope we secure the borders from our drugs. So do I think they will use Canada? Yeah, I think they'll try to do anything to try to get their drugs in America. I think they will work very hard at that. I think they use technology that, again, I'm not aware of. I think there's people that are aware of it on the borders. I think our border agencies are trying to do as good a job as they can. I think if we secure the borders, they're going to look for different ways to get it here. Truck, plane, parachute, whatever. I think they will try to do anything they can. And if that means going to Canada to bring it here, yeah. But yeah, I don't think building the wall is effective, but they'll find ways around it. Okay. But again, if we can control it and they know there's consequences, I think it's, there's consequences to your actions. I think we will have some results. And I don't think there's been a lot of consequences except throwing you back across the border. I think if there's consequences for the action, I think we'll see some results.
All right. One last one in from Pamela. That's a question, Jay. Hey, there you go. Do you think Canada will become our 51st day?
Man, we got really political. I must be getting high up.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of very political questions today, so I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, who knows? And honestly,
we're very limited in our information, so
I don't really have a lot of inside information on that one, Pamela.
I tried to do what affects Barron County, not what I think or how I feel personally. So But yeah, hopefully everything gets worked out. Hopefully there's a plan. I just wish we'd take her a little slower, but on the border, I can see why it's going to be effective. Put it that way. But on the federal grant side, I wish we'd take a little slower side. On the border, I'm okay with it. I think there's times and places for these tactics, and that's just my personal opinion. And it's no different than OWIs. I wish there wasn't OWIs. Our OWIs are off the charts again already in the first month of the year. We had 3 on Saturday night. 2 weeks ago, we had 5 on a Saturday night. And that doesn't count any of the other ones that we've had. That's just the ones I know about. So we need to do something about that. If I could come up with some plan that slams it down, I probably would initiate it, but I can't come up with nothing really good.
Well, sure. I mean, just do ban
close all the bars,
and ban vehicles from driving, or do checkpoints, right? And just have police suppression. Just make it legal. We'll call Romaine. We'll get it done. Come on.
Yeah, let's bring up checkpoints.
Yeah,
and let's see how effective that is for people.
Yep, and start pulling everybody over for doing 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. Make that mandatory, because it's like a way to do a checkpoint without it being a checkpoint. I'm just going to pull 1 mile an hour over. Done. And just sit at the bottom of a hill, so whenever it comes down the hill, they're all going to be speeding. Even your cruise control is going to go up another mile, and just pull everyone over. Hey, that'll stop it. Well, if that's what you want,
right?
That's
we can do it. Right? And maybe that's the plan. Maybe we need to rip the Band-Aid off. And so maybe I've gotten some good ideas here. Thank you, everybody, for these ideas.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. All right. What are you up to this week?
Couple meetings, court security meeting today. We got our multi-agency response event on Thursday. If anybody needs assistance, again, we're trying to help people still that homeless, financial, child care. There's different things that we're putting all the people in Barron County that help people in one room so that there's a one-stop shop. It's our multi-agency response event. So, so that's on Thursday, so we have to set up for that. So, but appreciate all the questions. I love this. We always love this. We didn't know where we were going to go in this show. I knew it would take, as soon as I brought up ICE, I knew it would trigger some things, and I think it's important to talk about. I think it's important to say that we have these problems here, but there's also, I'm trying to show you some local ties on how this affects people in Barron County, how it could. I have no idea how tariffs is going to affect Barron County. That is not my wheelhouse, but immigration is, and drugs are my wheelhouse, and so I'll stay in my lane, and I'll
stay there. Don't worry about the Dolphins, Fitzy. All right, one last. There's a question. I don't know what this is referring to, so I'm assuming you do, Fitzy. Do you think the warrant sworn out for Stephen? That name sounds familiar, but I can't place it. On January 19th was directly related to his death. Who's Stephen Kincaid? I feel like I know that name, but maybe I don't.
I don't know what that is. The sheriff going to answer my question?
Well, I just got it up. Just give me a second.
Well, yeah, obviously. I don't know who Stephen Kincaid is. So
I feel like I do, but I can't. Yes, thank you, Tiffany.
I'm gonna look. Wait, now I'm looking them up. I want to make sure that I answer the question. I don't know.
Boy, Pamela, she must be a news reporter or something, man. She's just champing at the bit. Let's go. Answer my question.
Stephen Kincaid, Liz.
I feel like I know that.
He doesn't even live in Barron County, according to this. I don't know. I don't think that's a Barron County case. So
there you go. I don't know who it is.
So I don't see a Barron County case with him, but
have I done a story on him? Maybe that's where I remember it from.
Maybe we had a case with him, but yeah, I don't see one right now. So I don't know anything about that.
Oh, I don't see one. Sheriff, okay. What now? You know what it was? It related. Answer the.
I do not.
Okay, that's okay. We got to work on sentence structure here, Pamela.
So,
if you
so
know
I guess
what,
feel free to call me, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. So, Stephen Kincaid. So,
no, the name sounds familiar, but maybe I don't know why.
All
right.
I don't know the answer to that. So.
Okay. Well.
All right. Well, I guess that's enough of that today.
That's enough. That's enough of that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for the comments. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching The Big Show, Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. Hold on now. We got a follow-up. He was shot in the head by Oneida Sheriff's Department on a warrant that Washburn County swore. Well, you have to ask the sheriff in Washburn County. Fitzy, the sheriff in Barron County.
I'm the Barron County sheriff, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's where I heard his name. I
don't know.
I know that name from somewhere. I just can't place it. Professional Exteriors and Interiors has 20 years of experience. This locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today. The number's right there on the screen. See what they can do for you. 715-520-2271. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe this whole time she thought you were the Washburn County Sheriff. Maybe she's never watched the show before.
Gotcha. Good. I'm glad you got me.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so I'll see all of you on Friday when I'll be chatting with DPI State Superintendent candidate. I don't remember her name now. Brittany Kinzer. That'll be on Friday morning, 8:30 right here on Facebook, and it'll be on our website and YouTube channel later in the day. Fitzy and I'll see all of you back here next week for another exciting episode of Positive Tuesday with Ben and Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald Fitzy. So, as always, thanks for watching and have a blessed day.